right, welcome back to Daybreak, and thank you so much for staying tuned as we continue this conversation around what just happened on Thursday last week. And so much action is expected this week as different parties that are interested in appealing against the decision of the High Court troop to the Court of Appeal. We already know that there are notices of appeal from the Attorney General, from the BBI Task Force alongside Raila Odinga. I want us to listen as we get into the next phase of the conversation to what Professor Bensi Hanya and lawyer Paul Mwangi have had to say about the situation you're in at the moment.
So stopping reggae, as it were, would not be a very productive way. Stopping the process, as it were, would not be a very productive way of solving the problem. So what? Where do we go from here? Do we start completely afresh to address the 9 agenda items?
Somebody has to relook at this, and somebody has to see through what is purely a political exercise. And we shall prove to the public and to the higher courts that this was sheer politics. This is not law.
All right. Says that it was a political decision. The two of you wanted to respond to what Elias Mutuma had been saying. What was it about?
Mine, I was very keen about when he was describing how the citizens went and complained and sued the president. Mm-hmm. Now, if you are a judge or anybody who has been in the school of law, would know from day one that if somebody comes and they suing the president, this is not just another citizen you are suing. What you would do, you would substitute the name of the president with that of the Attorney General, who represents the government. By suing the Attorney General, you are not suing the person of Paul Kehara. It is the office of the Attorney General, which is supposed to be the chief advisor to the government. Mm-hmm. You sue them, and then you find them culpable. So you don't allow in any jurisprudence to sue. Mm-hmm. For example, if it is in England and its territories, you don't sue the Queen. It's Her Majesty's government. It's above the law. But the above the law part of it, it comes if you have committed a personal crime, if that's when you can cease having that law protecting you. But in this matter, where the president is said to have been sued for having initiated it, it is the government you sue, and that is the Attorney General. You never talk about the president in a ruling and mention him 13 times.
If a petition, like Wakili Mutuma says that if a petition has, excuse me, has been taken to court...
You expunge it. If you are not, yes, you expunge it.
Just a moment. And specifically touches on the president, but he doesn't respond, what do you do?
No, you don't have to even entertain it in the first place. It is an outrageous petition. You just tell the fellow to go and frame it properly. Arudi. That's what the work of a judge is. It's not a robot.
Isn't it the work of the president or his office to go and explain what you say?
Even if they didn't respond, even you wouldn't expect a normal judge to go and entertain that kind of a story. You don't.
Honorable Elias, what is your dissatisfaction with the comments from...
no, I appreciate what Mutuma said, that a citizen sued the president. Fine. If a citizen sued the president, I think in due respect, I'm hoping that the lawyers of the president were informed, because any judge will not just give a ruling just because you are not represented. Even as we go to court, and the judge will always ask, where are the submissions of the respondent or whoever? Mm-hmm. And therefore, the most important thing, I don't want now to argue on that, because if indeed, as a person he was sued, then it means there was a process until where they reached and gave in that judgment and naming him 13 times. Does it mean the lawyers of the president did not respond, or they felt it was not? And by the time you are putting together BBI with an issue of a personal, you see, because all the petitions were put together. Mm-hmm. Was the president being sued as a person because of BBI, as a citizen? That is what now we would want to know. What were the prayers then? Mm-hmm. Because then it shows, fine, you appreciate that he's a citizen. So you can't come again and kill his rights if he's already a citizen and you are suing him and say he cannot be part of the popular initiative. Yet he will vote. Yet he's in the voter register. You know, There are so many things there. In terms of the threshold of public participation, okay, Mutuma says the constituencies. That's why I'm saying Parliament needs to give a law. Because you see, we shall be saying, oh, it's the county. So is the county larger than the constituency? I believe those are the questions now that will come out.
Okay.
I did not want to really engage in the matter of, because I said we need to ask ourselves, how do we now create a framework for people to be understanding when we talk of public participation? Is it from the ward level? Okay. And if it's from the ward level, then we will say, are we saying now the representatives of the people who are at the county assemblies were not doing public participation, yet they took the bill, went and did public participation in the wards.
But some of them did it on one afternoon and they came back to the house and voted.
That's why I'm saying, have you defined what is my public participation? You have not, some. So whether I do it 2 hours, whether I do it at 1 hour, but I've done it in the ward level, it is part of the public participation.
But Elias Mutuma says that it needs to be meaningful. I'm reading paragraph...
What is meaningful? What is meaningful? That's what we need to define. Do you want to tell me if when members are doing the constituency programs, their constituency programs, so what is meaningful when they go with their committee? Okay.
Honorable Lachi, I'll be reading some of the things that the judges said, some 4 steps that must be followed before reviewing a constitution through popular initiative. But I'm looking at paragraph 546 of the judgment, that on the specific question of whether the president can be sued in his personal capacity during his tenure, our answer is in the affirmative, because it is apparent from Article 143, Subarticle 3, that the president or any other person holding that office is only protected from such actions, quote, in respect of anything done or not done in the exercise of their powers under this constitution. And when I read Article 143, it talks of protection from legal proceedings, and yes, specifically it says that criminal proceedings shall not be instituted or continued in any court against the president or a person performing the functions of that office during their tenure of office. Subarticle 2, civil proceedings shall not be instituted in any court against the president or the person performing the functions of that office during their tenure in respect of anything done or not done in the exercise of their powers under this constitution. And number 3, where provision is made in law limiting the time within which proceedings under clause 1 and 2 may be brought against a person, a period of time during which the person holds or performs the functions of the office, the president shall not be taken into account in calculating the period of time prescribed by that law. So the judges looking at that and saying that there is protection, yes, but actually the president can be sued, and now giving the grounds as to why they were naming him.
Well, I would say this. We have 3 arms of government. What you are trying to introduce to us, which is okay, is that the president can be sued, the president of the judiciary can be sued, and the speakers of parliament can be sued. You see, when you look at that, because you are saying, yet the constitution says there is immunity in the presidency, isn't it?
Yes.
And even gives us that even when he commits, not just civil, but any other crime, you are still giving him that immunity as the presidency. But then now you come as a judge and say, no. One, you can be in this office, as much as the constitution has given you that immunity, we can still sue you. But you're not telling us that indeed, if you open that Pandora, then I have a right as a citizen to walk in any court and sue any of those judges, whoever I want. If I want, because any. And therefore, what do you bring? You try and bring anarchy in a country, by the way. Because you're opening a Pandora that the Constitution tried to and ensured that let us protect the presidency with reasons. Now, when you're suing him in this, because of the Constitution, and by the way, I don't even understand the prayers of why are we suing him? In which chapter 6 has he indeed, when you look at the issues that are being raised in BBI,
okay.
Let me just say, in BBI, the issues that are being raised. Yet the Constitution then comes and says, you have to really protect the interest of the country. So when does the judges look at the country and say, there is an interest of the country that the country can go to anarchy if 1, 2, 3 is not done? Because all the president was trying to do was to stop anarchy in terms of one.
All right, Honorable Speaker.
Let me just finish.
CAS.
Yeah, let me just finish. Don't worry. Let me just finish. Anarchy in this way, Sam. We have gone through a nullification, which was history in the African continent, in the world. How do we resolve that? I need a solution so that the country moves in a manner where this will never happen.
All right.
That was one. Two.
We need to hear from
I'm giving them. Two. He looks at the country and he realizes, my country is so divided that if I do not come up with a solution, I cannot step in a county A, county B, county C. How do you resolve that? So when you look at that, and the Constitution gives you that right, that opportunity to ensure that you don't take a country into a place where you'll have conflict on yourselves because of political issues. And then now you come and say, now we are suing him. The nullification was okay, we don't need to resolve. The country is divided, we don't need to resolve. We just need to move on and move on to the next election.
Okay. Honorable Elias, I'm not sure the court has a problem with the reasoning that you're giving, but they were more keen on the process. I'm just wondering, Honorable Kositanyi, can the president break the law? And if he does, what happens?
Well, Sam, I think you have put it very clear. The ruling was based on the process. Where did BBI begin? It originated from two people who were political competitors. Somewhere along the line, they decided they were going to move in the same direction, and hence, wherever they sat, they decided that the best way to move forward was for them to initiate the change of the Constitution. It is very clear that BBI never originated from the people of Kenya. It originated from President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga, and that is where the problem is. On the issue of the president can be sued, it's actually very clear, Sam, that the president's lawyers or his legal team, and if I were the president now, I don't think we would be having a new AG, because the Attorney General is the custodian of the law and advisor to the president. He should have advised and said, hey, the president has been sued. The likely outcome would be A, B, C, D, and we need to have lawyers defend the president. But what happens in a country whereby we have a toxic environment of arrogance and intimidation? I'm sure even from the talk of those who are against this ruling, you can see from the tone of CS Munya there and his other colleagues, they are shocked at this judgment because they knew there was an environment of intimidation that is there. How did these judges not get intimidated to rule in a manner?
From who?
There's intimidation everywhere. Look at what happened to Otienda Amolo. You will always have him on this show. Look at the views that he gave on BBI. Very fundamental, very key, very progressive. But what happened to him? He was removed he was disciplined by his political party for having spoken the truth. We are in an environment whereby we are allergic to the truth. Anything the president says, we must all follow. We should not question why. We should not question how. We should not question when. We should just follow. So I think let us as Kenyans respect the rule of law, respect the Constitution. Let us reread this judgment and actually not vilify the judges, do not intimidate them, but understand where they were coming from. And as I said earlier, Sam, the biggest victory in this ruling, in me, the winner was not the deputy president, the winner was not the Tanga. The losers were not Kieleweke. The winners was the Constitution of Kenya. The losers are those people who have practiced arrogance and intimidated other Kenyans, tried to suffocate the freedom of other Kenyans. And from this now, we should now find a way of moving forward.
Okay.
From where I sit, BBI is not a priority. This is a time to put brakes to reggae and let us think of what the priorities for
Now,
Kenyans.
I think.
So Malcolm, as you wind up, as you respond, I want you to wind up the show by telling us, so now what happens ahead of the election of, Willis Raburu is making noise in my ear, that's why I'm smiling. But what happens, because there will be an election next year in August, and you had said that after this BBI story, you're going to come up with what you look as the lineup for 2022 election. Now what happens? This appears to have been disrupted.
Now, I think what you've heard from my brother, Kostani, we know each other for many years, actually, many years. The issue of what is priority, I heard it even in, one of the judges talked even about that thing of the COVID almost 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
And also they talked about even a multiple choice in that referendum. They didn't talk about multiple choice in 2010 constitution. But this time they were talked about because it was purely a tanga topic. And also the issue of the vaccine. When we are talking about the BBI, this is the time to vaccinate. The world has been having shortage of vaccines. We have not had a shortage because we are not able to afford it to buy. Or we are not able to have it because we are refusing. Everybody knows there is shortage and hoarding, H-O-A-O-R-D, hoarding of the vaccine by those countries like the US who have surplus of it, and so much of it they never wanted to share with the world. So everybody knows where we are as a country. And now our priority from today or this morning is actually to appeal this ruling. And after the appeal, we will see that the issues that were raised by the court, we will see the response. And it is upon that response when we can know about the next move. But what we know, we have asked for a stay of that ruling, so we continue with what we have been doing until the hearing is done. So that is what you are calling the, about the lineup of after the BBI.
Right.
We are continuing the BBI after the activity in court today, where we will go and ask for the stay and also now appeal. So when the appeal is going on, we will continue with our reggae.
But then again, even with a stay, IBC, can they really process?
It's part of what is being stayed. IBC, the compensation,
the permanent
is part
injunction?
Of, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you think you'll be successful?
Well, that one, watch it ungoje.
Okay, all right. A matter of wait and see. Let's take a look at some of the feedback that we've received from you via Twitter, Citizen TV Kenya, Sam Gituku, the hashtag being Daybreak, as well as the SMSs that you've sent to us. And we begin with Richie Kaino. You said that it is the government of Kenya. Is the government of Kenya blind? By now, they should have known that Kenyans don't want anything to do with this, their BBI thing. Kenyans have enough problems to think of. Well, someone else, Isaac Muthusi, you're saying that this is Kenya. Look, High Court declares BBI unconstitutional, but its secretariat says it will appeal the court's decision. Can an unconstitutional institution take legal action? Well, I bet they're appealing so that that can be overturned.
That's my question. I'm wondering.
Maseme, you're saying that, morning Sam, the reason why, did I just say hi to myself? The reason why the process was declared non-constitutional, being originated by the president, is because the president appointed the BBI task force and gazetted them. Of course, he later gazetted their terms of reference. He further gazetted the extension. To that extent, the president was the one who started a popular initiative with the, I'm losing some words there, he could have let Raila Odinga to proceed with the process the way he did for the Okoa Kenya. That is Masemi Machuka also sharing with us a bit of what he thinks. And of course, we continue to read the judgment and to engage on what would be quite defining in the future of politics in this country. Thank you so much, CAS Beatrice Alachi from the Public Service and Gender Ministry. We have Caleb Kositanyi, Member of Parliament for Soi constituency, and Mauka Maure, the Deputy Majority Whip. Thank you so much all for making time for us. And this conversation continues. We'll do this again tomorrow. We have a panel of different legislators, including an advocate of the High Court, who will be helping us to understand what really transpired and the future of this process. Up next is Sporty Monday with Elias and his panel of analysts. They'll be here to tell you why Chelsea didn't make it. They're hoping that they'll be lucky on 29th of May. But till then, we'll wait and see.